I've added weight to the counterweight, and so now with no electricity, we see the through the sight window the red. And what I'm going to do is plug it in now, and with the electricity on, that red should remain. If I plug it in and it flips to silver, the face of the clock, the color of the face of the clock, then I don't have enough weight on the counterweight. So it's staying red is good. And what I'm going to do is reach back. I'm going to turn the shaft, and now through the sight window we see the color of the clock face, which is that silver. So if this is working correctly, when I cut the power, that silver will go back to red. And there we go. So we're all set there. I, by the way, made a mistake, but it's not that big of a deal, but I don't recommend this. I should have reattached these wires before I put the back of the clock on, okay? Because I didn't, I was unable to get a screwdriver in to screw down the wires back on here. But it was easily remedied. I just took out the screws for this bracket, slid it forward, and I could get an angle on it and do it that way. So not the end of the world, but I should have mentioned to you to connect those wires before you put on this back plate. Okay, so, and I, by the way, keep calling this a back plate through the series. This is not the clock's back plate. That's this right here. This is really the back of the clock. All right. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and just continue here. If I make my video too short, then YouTube will classify it as a short, and it won't make my playlist. So I used poster putty to hold this in place and to test it out and everything. So I'm going to take that poster putty off. And what I can do now is I can go ahead and put the all of the hands back on. So I'm going to do that. And then I'll put the lens back on, and then the bezel, and then it should be ready to go back into the clock itself, the clock case. So when we put the hands back on, could say it's good to put them back on so that the hour and minute hand are facing the 12. Actually, it doesn't matter, just so long as it's aligned to a particular hour. So I'm going to use 1 o'clock because I moved this hour hand out of the way so that you guys could see the sight window. So I'm going to put the hour hand on 1, and I've got to put the minute hand so that it faces the 12. Now, this is another one of these things that's difficult about these earlier clocks, okay, because the minute hand only goes on one way. And so I can't just put it back on. What I really have to do is I have to rotate the minute hand sleeve so that when I put the minute hand on, it is facing the 12. And what that means is that I have to actually take the hour hand off, and I have to put the set knob back on the bottom, or the back of the clock. So I put the set knob back on there. And what I have to do is I have to rotate this so that the minute hand faces the 12. So, and then I'm going to have to take it off and put the hour hand on. So I rotate this, make sure this is facing, I rotate this until the minute hand is facing the 12. Then I take this off and I put the hour hand on, which, you know, I could do it to the 1, I could do it to the 12, whatever. Just as long as when I set these up, it's pointing to an hour of the day so that the hands will sync up as they go around. So put that to the 1, then take the minute hand and put that on. And then the rest is pretty easy. I'm going to take that nut we talked about, okay, and put it on there and tighten it down. That'll hold the minute hand on there. And one thing that I'll do at this point right here, after I've tightened that down, is I'll rotate through like this to make sure there isn't a conflict between the hour hand and the minute hand. I want to find that before I put the lens back on and the bezel back on. So there's no conflict. Obviously the minute hand's able to clear the hour hand. The hour hand isn't dragging on the face of the clock. So that's all good. So once I feel good about that, I'm going to then add the sweeper second hand. And it doesn't matter what the sweeper second hand points to. Just seats down in there like that. So my next step is to take the lens and place it on the face like that. Now you might notice that there's a little groove, 1, 2, 3, and that corresponds to these 3 posts, which I suppose you could take these nuts off of here and possibly make your life a little easier. I never do, but it becomes this kind of fussy thing where you gotta go like this and then pull this one out and over, and it's not pretty. And then after you do all that, then you have this situation where you push the post into the holes in the back of the clock, and it's generally just kind of sloppy. But it's not a big deal either, and there you go. So now that I've got all that there, I can go to the back here and take these little nuts and put them on here. And that's going to hold this whole contraption together. And we're pretty much done. I do have to put the screws back on here. Okay. But this is all but ready when I get these 3 nuts on here, ready to go back into the case and ready to be plugged in and keep time. Now, I talked about earlier how, you know, these early clocks, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them had this weird plug situation, which has this bakelite piece that plugs into this. Okay, so if you've got that, you know, if you've got something that looks like this, that's what I'm talking about. And you may or may not have the original plug. Sometimes I'll buy a clock like this and there's no plug. Sometimes I'll buy it and the plug will come with it. But what I'm talking about when I say that you don't necessarily need the original plug is I'm talking about this right here, these boots. Okay, so let's say you buy this clock and you don't have the original cord. It's not the end of the world. What you can do, you can make your own from lamp cord and, you know, buy a aftermarket plug, whatever. Or you can find something around the house that you're not using anymore and just cut the cord off of it. And then all you have to do is remove some of the insulation and add these boots. And what I'm, Jesus, you know, never mind, I'll do it later. This is what I'm talking about though. These boots, they look like this. Inside here, okay, you can't see it, but it looks like this. And you get an old lamp cord, cut it off, shave off the insulation like this, and you add it to this and crimp it, okay? And you can simply stick this on one side and the other one on this side, and it'll power up your clock. So you don't absolutely need the original style cord, which by the way looks like this. This is the Bakelite piece that plugs in here. Okay, so in addition to that, you don't actually need these boots either. Okay, you could remove this piece right here and just put your wire through and make a connection, using wire connectors. I've seen people sometimes drill a hole in the side of this and put their wire through there and make the connection, so it really doesn't matter. But anyway, now that we've got all this, we can put it back in like this, and then it's just a matter of taking that collar and putting it down so that each of the posts comes through, and putting those weird nuts back on. So once I do this, then the clock will be complete. Now, that's it. So anyone can do. I'm going to, after this, I'm going to go back and put those 2 screws back in the power connector there. So I'm not going to finish this. But that's it.